Okay, first up on Dear Robert, we have a question from Leslie Tweedy. She is co-owner of Roscoe Village Bikes in Chicago, Illinois, and littleindependent.com. Let's check out her question.
Hi, Robert. I'm the owner of a retail store called Roscoe Village Bikes and a website called Little Independent, where stores can work together to reach a wider audience with slower turning merchandise. My question is, we're looking to reach out to advertisers for our website. So what do you think that we should keep in mind when reaching out to people?
Well, Leslie, I think the biggest thing that you need to look at is you got to look at a budget. And, you know, everybody's got a budget. It may be really small, it may be really large. And, you know, if you've got some ones with larger budgets, that's even better. You have more room, you've got, you know, you can spread your horizons. Once you set a budget, the best thing is once you can determine, you know, how much money you have, then you've got to get your target audience. And your target audience would be, is it going to be elderly people? Is it going to be youngsters? Is it going to be kids? Is it going to be minorities? All these different things that you've got to look at. You've got to look at the area of the country that you're in, whether it's overseas nowadays.
You want to look at your product and your service, whichever it is, and what's going to appeal to their audience, what's going to appeal to my audience. You have to match up.
How do you draw them in?
Exactly.
You know, you want to match them up with whatever you're trying to sell them, whatever you're trying to show them, whatever it may be. So how do you draw them in, and how do you get them to come to your website? How do you get them to come to your TV show? The different things that you've got. How do you get them to pick up the phone and order, or on the website and order your product?
And again, it's in your best interest to have target audience matched up with them as well as theirs, because you don't want your audience and your viewers or product buyers, you don't want them looking at these advertisements that have no relevance to them. So you really want to pick a target market, which is your market, and then seek out those advertisers that fit that market.
Very good. And also remember, target but also niche. Just remember that. You know, find the niche. Always find the niche. No matter what you do, I don't care what it is, find the niche. Then target it. You got a budget, you pretty well know what you're going to do.
Exactly. Okay, so next up for Dear Robert, we have Tad Rosenfelds. He is from TeamLauncher.com, CEO. Let's check out his question.
Hi, Robert. I'm co-founder of TeamLauncher.com, and we were recently voted one of the top 10 best new websites for small businesses by CNBC Business Magazine. We have a great product. We help companies to hire employees in emerging markets very inexpensively to work for them out of our offices. And we're getting lots of accolades. My question for you is, how do we spread the word most effectively?
Well, I tell you, Ted, that's a great question, because I think the main thing that you've got to do is word of mouth. Word of mouth is the age old. I mean, I don't care where you're from, it's the cheapest.
It's free.
You know, I mean, whenever I go into a new town and I'm hungry and I want to get the best pizza, I'm going to go up to someone on the corner and I'm going to say, who's got the best pizza in this town?
Depending on what town you're in.
That's right. And what part of town you're in too sometimes. But, you know, those things, I mean, it's word of mouth.
Community.
You know, community is another one. I mean, you know, get out into the community. You know, get your product out, get your product base out. Sometimes give some freebies away.
Yeah.
I mean, if you sell frisbees, go to the park, and if there's a bunch of dogs there, start throwing the frisbees out. I mean, just you know, out of the box things like that. I think the biggest thing nowadays that everybody wants to know about, that I don't know much about, is websites, and you know, over the internet and this whole infrastructure that you have. Social media.
Social media, yeah. Social media is, again, like word of mouth. Most of it is free. You've got Facebook, you've got Twitter. Constantly, businesses all over the country, all over the world are on Twitter and Facebook.
And I think the main thing about, you know, the internet and tweeting and all that stuff, I mean, you know, you've got this base, and you can exponentially, you know, reach so many more people that we never had a clue that you could reach before. With getting the word out in any way, form, or fashion.
Exactly. It's networking. I mean,
it's
all social media now.
It's the old basics of how to do it. It's just a new way to get those basics done.
Another thing about community is nonprofits. Get involved with nonprofits. Get out there. There's going to be media out there, so it's news coverage for the nonprofit that you're promoting, but as well as your business. And get out there and donate if you can. Do what you can. If you can't donate products or services, donate your time.
And you'll feel better for it.
So our third and final Dear Robert today is from Beth Leon Guerrero, and she's from Charleston Wedding Studio. Let's check out her question.
Hi, my name is Beth Leon Guerrero. I'm a floral and event designer with Charleston Wedding Studio. My question for Robert is, how do you best implement an act of God clause in your contracts?
All right, Beth, you know, that's a tough one, because I think before we were talking about one thing that Leah brought up real good is, you need to include an attorney on it. I mean, all these things, used to be whenever I was a young man, a handshake did a lot of things, and they just don't do that anymore. But when you're including different clauses into contracts, first off, you need to get an attorney to make sure that, one, that you need it, and two, that you understand it. You understand what you're putting in there, because you've got to understand the contract to be able to, provide the services you're trying to give with that contract. Act of God are usually something like, floods,
Hurricanes,
tornadoes, bad weather, things like
fires.
that. And, those things are going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it, especially a big event. I think she's a wedding planner,
Sure.
something like that.
In the wedding industry.
One thing is, the act of God, I guess, is whenever the groom says he don't want to marry anymore.
No.
How do you do something like that?
Stop.
Is that in the contract? I don't know. But, different things that happen. And how do you do something with that? There are attorneys for those reasons. I think there's actually attorneys that specialize in that. They can give you a lot of, good wisdom in it. But the main thing is that you have something like that in there. And not only that, just because you put in a contract, there can be a lot of long words. Explain it to the people.
And
Make
understand yourself. Make sure you know what's in your contract. You don't sign anything unless you understand everything. But B, don't give somebody a contract if you don't understand everything in that contract that you want someone to sign.
Exactly.
So.
And make sure they understand it too.
This portion of our show is brought to you by KKLServices.com. KKL Services, offering research services in all areas. Whether you're a one-person small business or a Fortune 500 company, KKL Services can provide research in any area, fitting any budget and time frame. We've researched for top companies, entrepreneurs, New York Times best-selling authors, consultants, writers, and featured in scholarly publications. Whether you need research for a specific market, product, or theory, we have access to over 500 business, news, and academic databases for it. Whatever information you need, we can find it. What do you need to know?